The only night game of this series here in Cleveland as the Sox and Indians get together for game number 2 after a comeback win for the Tribe in the opener on Memorial Day. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, and it was a banner day for Matt Skole in his major league debut, his first hit, his first run, and his first home run.
You dream about that, and when it comes true, you just shake yourself and wonder if it really happened, but it did. We saw it up close and personal. It took one pitch to record his first hit. Drives it into right field, and this was a momentous occasion. He'll keep that baseball, certainly, but the best was going to come a little bit later. He blasted this one way back and gone. He got everything out of the way yesterday. First hit, first home run, first run driven in, and what a day for Matt Skole. So you'd have to say that he made everybody very happy as far as White Sox baseball was concerned. His parents were concerned, and it was a wonderful day.
But the Sox did have the lead in that game. Cleveland came back. The key spot was Edwin Encarnacion mid-game, and he came through.
He drove in 4 runs yesterday on a home run and this little looper to right field that was not played. Daniel Polka comes over, a long run for him. He just misses it. 3 runs scored, and the Indians were back in business. As you can see, in the merry month of May, Encarnacion is hitting .313, hitting .228 overall, so he's off to a slow start, but swinging the bat well, and Terry Francona thinks that the big man in the middle is going to get it done now that the weather's heating up.
His opposition today will be Lucas Giolito.
Last time out, Lucas had a tough time. Control was a problem once again. He didn't strike anybody out, and he got hit very hard. As you can see, for Mike Clevenger, the last couple of starts have been tough for him, but overall he's thrown the ball very well. So a very young pitcher and a relatively young veteran for the Indians, and hopefully today the Sox can catch the baseball and get it done.
Trying to level the series in game number 2 with a day game finale coming tomorrow, but business to do here tonight. Matt Skole try and get some more friends. Sox will try and keep the Indians down. Game 2 on the way. It is a steamy evening by Lake Erie as the Sox play game number 52 of their season. It's game number 2 of 3 against the Cleveland Indians, the first place team in the American League Central. Cleveland up by 3.5 on Detroit and Minnesota in the AL Central. And Lucas Giolito will spin it against Cleveland. A very tough lineup today, and an old friend of ours, Melky Cabrera, in the other dugout. And earlier on today, Melky got a chance to catch up with some of his former teammates. Always very well liked in the Sox clubhouse and everywhere he's been.
Melky, a gregarious guy.
Big hug for Trace Thompson as Cleveland takes the field. Mike Clevenger is on the mound, and the starting lineup he'll face is brought to you by the Webb Auto Group. The best lineup of Chevys, Fords, Mitsubishis, Genesis, and Hyundais at the best price. Go to webcars.com. Okada and Sanchez, couple of switch hitters, and Abreu, Polka and Skoll, the left-handers in the middle. Anderson, Engel, Charlie Tilson at 3 for 10, and then Narvaez batting ninth.
The defensive setup for the Indians presented by UI Health, and this is how Terry Francona is going to throw them out there tonight with Brantley, Allen, and Cabrera left to right. In the infield, and it's a good one, Ramirez, Lindor, Kipnis, and Alonso at first base, with Roberto Perez getting the nod behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is Mike Clevenger. 3-2. His ERA is pretty good at 3.32. You see the rest of the numbers, less hits than innings pitched. As you can see, left-handers have done nothing with him. He has an unusual motion. He's not overpowering. He's a 4-pitch pitcher. However, what the Indians are trying to get him to do under Carl Willis, their pitching coach, is get more aggressive. He has a tendency to just try to pick off the corners, fall behind. When he does that, he gets hit. The umpires for the game tonight, Mike Muchlinski has the plate. Tim Timmons at first base, Rob Drake at second, and Mike Winters is at third base. So the Indians come into this one at first place. They're 3.5 games ahead of both Detroit and Minnesota. They've won 3 games in a row. At home, they're 16-11. So this is still a pretty good team. They've dominated the Central. That's the reason why they have the lead at this point. They're 11-5 against the Central Division of the American League. Not so good against the West, not so good against the East with losing records. But the Indians are a lot better than they've played, leading to believe that before it's over, they will pull away from this division. So we're ready to play baseball on a gorgeous night. I'm ready to turn it over to Jason Benetti.
Hey, Steve, thank you. Look forward to 9 innings and then some, maybe more. We'll find out. Sox and Indians, game number 2, about ready to get underway as it is summer-like in the Cleveland area this evening. Sox jumped out early at 5-1 in yesterday's game. Cleveland came back to win. First pitch is outside, and we are underway from Progressive Field. Ball 1 to Yohan Moncada. Clevenger's added some herky-jerkiness to that delivery, even from past years.
I think if you're not overwhelming, you have to add some deception to it. And he's got a very short, quick delivery.
Last time out, the Astros got to him for 5 earned runs as Moncada flies the ball to left field. Brantley traces it toward the warning track for out number 1. 81 degrees at first pitch time, a rather humid day here in Cleveland as fans are still filing in.
Pretty good crowd yesterday. They had almost 24,000. Today won't be quite as lively here at the ballpark, celebrating their 25th year at this park, and at one point 455 consecutive sellouts. Those days have gone by the boards, however.
But a ballpark that's held up well through time.
It's a good looking park with just a great scoreboard.
Two strikes on Yolmer Sanchez, who was 2 for 5 yesterday. A single to left in the 5th and a single to right in the 8th.
Clevenger throwing from the extreme first base side of the rubber. He feels he gets a better angle inside the left-handers. And hitters have chased 40% of his breaking balls out of the zone, and that is emblematic of a guy with a late breaking slider and curve.
Sanchez has not seen him well in the past. Yolmer 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts against Clevenger. Wrap to first. And Alonso for out number 2. Show you what Clevenger throws. You mentioned he's got all the pitches. He'll throw mostly fastball, then slider is number 2 for him.
You see the curveball. He doesn't have quite as much confidence in the curve as he does the slider. The changeup right there, but he's more along the lines of a sinker ball pitcher. He will ride the 4-seam fastball on occasion. Again, because it's not overwhelming, he doesn't want to throw too many strikes with the 4-seam fastball. It's kind of a show me pitch up in the zone.
The Tim Lincecum vintage hairdo. Right-hander out of the state of Florida, Mike Clevenger. Former 4th-round pick of the Angels back in 2011. He was traded in August of 14 here for Vinny Pastano. Into center field with some carry. Allen is there though, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Clevenger against the Sox. Lucas Giolito in an effort to bounce back to the mound next. Yesterday, Lindor, Brantley, Ramirez, Encarnacion, Alonso, and Melky. Then Jason Kipnis in the 7th spot. Only change is Perez in for Gomes. Allen once again batting 9th.
Defensive setup for our Sox, put out there by Ricky Renteria, is Charlie, Adam, and Daniel in the outfield, with Yolmer, Tim, Yoan, and Jose in the infield. Omar Narvaez gets a nod behind the plate. And our Lexus experience, amazing starting pitching, is Lucas Giolito. 3-5 this year with an ERA above 7.5. The rest of the numbers aren't particularly pretty. 37 walks, only 27 strikeouts. So he'll be trying to work on that today, going right at these hitters and trying to stay ahead. If he stays ahead, the wipeout pitches are good enough. If he gets behind, then he has some problems.
Giolito right now is 2nd in baseball with the 37 walks, which, when you look at what he did at the tail end of last year in the major leagues, it was unexpected that that would be the case to start 2018 as he throws strike 1 to Lindor.
Lindor's really had a wonderful month of May, so he's starting to heat it up along with Encarnacion.
In the air left side, Yolmer is the only man home as it's 0-2 on Lindor, the 24-year-old, with the beaming smile at shortstop for Cleveland. One ball and 2 strikes. What would early good signs be for you for Lucas Giolito?
Well, he showed it already. 2 pitches in the zone to go 0-2, and then a show me pitch by design. That's pretty good.
One breaks inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
What I'd love to see him do is, on his follow through, keep his position on the mound instead of flying off drastically to the first base side, which is something that he does on occasion. And it's a little more difficult for a guy 6'7" to keep everything together because he's got a lot more moving parts than a smaller pitcher. But I'm sure he looked over all the videos, figured out what he was doing wrong, and hopefully he'll bring it out tonight.
Three balls and 2 strikes after Giolito walked 3 in the first inning against Baltimore. That last start, an inning and a third. And the 3 walks, 6 hits, 7 earned runs. On the ground up the middle. Playable for Tim, and he got him. Oh, goodness, what a play.
Just a great effort by Tim Anderson. He ranges to his right. He goes on the shortstop side of second and gets enough on the throw to get a very fleet Lindor. This is a terrific play. Doesn't have time to plant. He does get a whole lot on it and gets it there on eyelash ahead of Lindor. Called by Tim Timmons. It was a good one and a great way to start with a defensive gem.
Especially after yesterday and the trouble the Sox had defensively, to give the pitchers some confidence in Giolito, especially to get that first out. So 1 down for Brantley, one of the top hitters on this team, slugging well over 500. He takes a called strike.
This is a very tough top of the order for the Indians. Lindor, Brantley, Ramirez, and Encarnacion. Just very dangerous and very good hitters.
Breaking ball up, 1-1. This is the 3rd best slugging team in Major League Baseball as a group at .435. Just missed. 2-1.
That was a pretty good pitch, and if Mike Luczynski doesn't call it in there, it's going to be tough for Lucas, because then he's going to have to stay away. That ball had a part of the plate.
Actually had more of the plate than the called strike in the sequence so far. Line to right field, a base hit. Brantley's on with 1 out in the first.
"18 straight games Michael Brantley has hit in. So this is one of the longest hitting streaks of his career. Now that he's entirely healthy, he is a dominant player. When he hits in the 2 spot, he really sets up the entire lineup behind him.
And he's gotten the streak thing out of the way the last 2 days in the first inning. Now Jose Ramirez. He takes on the Sox today by AARP. Well, he stings.
Pretty good numbers against our Sox since 2016.
Well, he's raining out a lot of parades.
He is that. When you consider in 2015 he hit .219. Hit 6 home runs, drove in 27. That was in 97 games. And then 2016 he hit .312. Last year he hit .318.
He's basically Yolmer Sanchez plus in terms of the power department. But both guys were players who the organizations thought, okay, maybe swing player, and now suddenly starters at third for their teams.
Well, in 16 he hit 11 home runs. First time in double figures any place he'd ever played.
Showing some power to left field. Tilson on the run, and Charlie cannot get there. It rings off the wall. Brantley's on his way home. Ramirez an RBI double, and it's 1-0 Cleveland.
That ball slicing away from Charlie Tilson, and the wind was aiding it. Everything slices toward the line. Whether it's a right-hand hitter or a left-hand hitter, the ball is going to move toward the line. And with the wind aiding it, Charlie Tilson, even with his great speed, can't get to it. So it's RBI number 38. Charlie comes up a little short, and the Indians take an early lead.
"32 extra base hits for Ramirez, and we're not done with May, as Edwin Encarnacion, who had the big blow yesterday, stands in. I'm talking to Daniel Polka about the ball we showed you in the open. He was very frustrated with himself. He felt the ball hit off his glove. He felt like he should have made the play, and it just didn't happen for him.
He was right about that. He got there and just didn't catch it.
Giolito snaps in strike one.
A couple of sliders to start out the at-bat. Encarnacion, when he's right, has big power to right center field. The wind is blowing straight in from right center, however.
Hard hit into center field. Ramirez had to go back. Wasn't sure if the ball was going to get caught, so he only makes it to third. But 3 straight hits for Cleveland in this first inning.
Lucas got the ball up, and Encarnacion, who was swinging it very well in May, took it right back up the middle. And that's normally where he looks. As you can see, Narvaez wanted it low and away. He gets it up and out over the plate, just over Tim's glove. And you have to go back to the bag because you don't want to get doubled up, taken out of the inning. So he cannot score on that, leaving the double play in order for a man who doesn't run very well in Alonso.
So Brantley with a hit off the changeup, and 2 straight fastballs end up as hits. And now Alonso with Melky Cabrera to follow. On the ground and through. 2-0 Cleveland. Alonso drives in Ramirez.
Lucas is missing his spots by plenty. That time Narvaez wanted the fastball in. Lucas kept it down but got it out over the plate. And Don Cooper is going to come out and have a word. See where he's set up, but you see where the ball is. And so far, although he is throwing strikes, he's not throwing good strikes. And there's a big difference between the two.
All right, so you had a rough start last time, and now things are snowballing again. What's your message for Lucas Giolito?
You got to think about something positive, and Don Cooper probably left him with that. Says, okay, you're throwing strikes. Now you got a man up there that doesn't run real well. Throw a ground ball, get out of the inning. You keep it at 2, consider yourself fortunate. You're looking at a man there that has been all everything the last couple of years. 2 years ago, he had 11 home runs, first time in double figures. Last year, he had 29. This year, on pace to probably go over 35. And Ramirez has been a revelation for this team. And you're right, he was thought of as a swingman for quite some time. He could play anywhere defensively, but now he's hitting like a corner infielder.
First one, a strike on Melky Cabrera, who was a double play victim twice yesterday. On the ground, Tim to the bag, and that is 2. Double play. 6-3 on the twin killing. Sox will go to the bat rack after this, down 2.
Sense, an affiliate welcome right around the corner.
Well, let's see. Yes, we'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on Ellsworth Cooperative Telephone in Ellsworth, Iowa, north of Des Moines. Some great Sox fans in the state of Iowa. Daniel Palka takes ball number 1. Offensively, Daniel's been impressive. .516 slugging, hitting the ball very hard. And as we talked about, he knows that his defense could certainly use some improvement.
He'll get every opportunity to do that, because if you can swing the bat like he can, you will get some play.
Down the line, fair ball. Beautifully dodging the first base umpire, Tim Timmons. Polka on his way to second base, and a leadoff 2-base hit.
Good way to start off the second. He takes it right down the line. Under Alonso, right on the line, and he can't get to it. That's how hard the ball was hit, because he was just 3 steps off the line and still could not make the play.
So his college teammate now, Matt Skoll, moves him over to third on a ground ball to Lindor, 1 away.
Still a good at bat, as Matt went up there with the idea that regardless of what happened, he had to move Daniel over to third base.
Number 7, the shortstop.
So now Terry Francona knows that his team's got a lot of thunder these days, so he's not going to play the infield in. He's going to concede the run if it's hit to the middle infield. Tim will have a golden opportunity to drive in, at the very least, his 20th run of the year.
Clevenger to Anderson for strike 1. It's the best lineup we've seen so far this year, you think? This one?
This is a pretty strong lineup, especially at the top. The bottom of it's okay.
Ball and a strike to Anderson, who's now got 11 home runs this year. He's driven in 19, and a massive road trip for Tim, including the home run yesterday in the 4th inning.
Best lineup, however, Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a loaded team.
A rocket to left field, a base hit. Anderson drives in Polka, and it's 2-1.
That ball was hit so hard that if not for Skoll's ground ball that moved him over, he would not have scored on it. So Tim drives in his 20th. He got a breaking ball up in his eyes. This is a slider that doesn't do much, and hanging sliders over the inner third get hit just like this. Tim is starting to really heat it up.
So today an RBI, yesterday a home run, both birthday presents for his wife Bria, who celebrated yesterday.
Neither of these Indian catchers have been able to gun down too many base runners, which is kind of surprising for Yan Gomes. And normally Perez throws it very well. But Tim, one of the premier base stealers around, he's got a good lead at first.
There he goes. Pitch is outside, and no chance for Perez. Stolen base for Tim Anderson to add to the Sox league lead.
Tom Hamilton, the esteemed broadcaster on the radio side, says that Perez has some problems when he transfers the ball, with dropping it on occasion, like a half dozen times this year.
Like right there.
Like exactly that.
So a runner in scoring position, 1-1 for Engel. Strike called.
Adams been swinging it pretty well lately, and what he would like to see is a slider on the outer third. Clevenger is not overwhelming with that fastball. He might decide to go upstairs with it, however.
Popped it up. Right field side and playable for Melky Cabrera. Anderson remains at second. 2 down for Tilson.
There was an example of a slider that he tried to throw away. It hung so far inside that Adam actually jammed himself with it. Perez wants it away. He's set up there. He wants it low and away. Instead, it just spins on the inner portion, and you see Adam looking at the spin identifies the slider, but that location fooled him, as backup sliders will.
Sometimes the most confounding pitch you can see.
If pitchers could ever do that by design, they would probably have a wonderful pitch.
What would you call it?
It's a backup slider.
Yeah, but it's got to have more of an intentional sounding name, I think.
Okay.
If you meant to do it.
Yeah.
Backup slider sounds like an accident.
Well, it normally is.
Right.
You could call it.
Yeah.
Remember, Matsuzaka had what he called the gyro pitch, which was essentially a backup slider.
Yeah.
But then it was almost one of those things like Bigfoot. Nobody ever really saw it, but they said he had it.
The gyro ball.
Yeah.
Always good with tzatziki sauce.
Very nice.
Yeah. 2 strikes on Charlie Tilson, who's 3 for 10 this time around with the Sox. After the very brief 2 at-bats a couple of seasons ago. Oh, 2 to Tilson. Omar Narvaez would be next. Sox down a run after Cleveland scored 2 in the first. Omar got some late run in the game yesterday in place of Alfredo Gonzalez coming in the 7th. Off the plate. Crowd wanted it. Crowd also wants the strike zone to be larger, evidently.
Mike Lutlinski is calling the outside pitch, but not quite that far outside.
Two and 2. Charlie takes ball 3. Anderson at second, 2 down. Tim's driven in Daniel Polka in this second inning. He missed again. Ball 4. Tilson takes a walk. Let's tell you what's coming up in tonight's telecast. We'll show you the menu. You can choose what you'd like. A memorable major league debut in White Sox history. Tim and Teddy go for a stroll. And Michael Kopech highlights for you as well. Michael pitched yesterday for AAA Charlotte. One transaction today. Gavin Sheets placed on the disabled list with Advanced A Winston-Salem with a foot problem. Sox have had the injury bug crop up a lot this year.
It's been up and down the organization.
You feeling okay?
I'm fine, but you have those kind of years where Herm Schneider just shakes his head. He hasn't seen anything like this in quite some time, but it started in spring training and has continued throughout the early going.
Well, one thing Herm Schneider and his group have always been very good at is getting players back on the field. 0-1 to Omar. Upstairs, ball and a strike. So Tim Anderson at second after a single and a steal. Charlie Tilson with his first career walk over at first base.
And some very good speed on the base paths as you look at Hermie. Historically, his teams have fewer days on the disabled list than anybody else, but this year is an oddity.
It really is. There have been stories written with data to back up that point. It's not just, hey, our trainer's better than your trainer. The numbers show that Herm Schneider and his crew have always kept players on the field better than just about everybody in Major League Baseball.
Not only Herm, but Ryan Ball, Alan Thomas, and a host of others.
Ball and 2 strikes. Omar takes strike 3 called right on the fringe, and that will do it. Coming up next, Ricky Renteria with a couple quick pitching changes yesterday. We'll ask him why after this. You to decide to leave pitchers in for one batter like you did yesterday?
Well, I think the matchup for one was a huge situation for us. I did not want to give, not that Louis couldn't have gotten Encarnacion, but I think putting a right-hander in there against Encarnacion was a better situation. We had actually planned it out and we were going to go one hitter for one guy and one hitter for the next, and you know, they did their job. You know, yesterday we didn't make a play. That happens, but it ended up, you know, being what we needed at the time. It was the moment for it, and it's more a situation in which we had the rest of the bullpen ready to go if we needed to, if we shut that down and were able to finish it out.
Thanks, Ricky.
You're welcome.
Luis Avilan came in and got an out in the 5th inning, so he gets a pop-up from Jose Ramirez. Avilan comes out, and Chris Volstad comes into the game and gets the pop-up from Encarnacion. That was the ball that Renteria was referring to as Tim throws out Kipnis. But that conversation started very early in the inning after an initial error got Yan Gomes to the plate. You're thinking 4 or 5 batters ahead in that scenario.
Well, the number one guy for Terry Francona is his bench coach, Brad Mills. And Brad Mills before the game was talking about being where Ricky was with a team that was going to finish up the track. And he said, you know, you might get a chance once or twice, maybe if you're lucky 3 times a week to win a ball game. And you're going to do whatever you can to win that particular game. And that's what Ricky had in mind, was trying to do the best he could to win the ball game yesterday, thinking he had a good opportunity to do it. I mean, he got up 5-1, and that was a game that he felt that if he did bring in the guys he brought in, they could get the job done and win a ball game where other games you might not have a chance to win early. So you can understand Ricky's moves.
Pitches outside 1-1 on Perez, and hypothetically, if that ball ends up getting caught, you leave that inning with the lead, and then your bullpen is set up, stacked in terms of Fry and Rondon and Soria and Jones to give you 4 innings if it goes well.
You have to evaluate moves when they're made, not after the result, because every manager makes a move that he believes is going to put his team in a position to win the game. I've never seen a manager yet that makes a move and says, well, this is an awful move, it's not going to work, but I'm going to do it anyway. It doesn't work that way. Now, many of them don't work out, but you hear about those. You don't hear about the ones that work out well.
Well, it's like a scouting director saying after the draft, well, we were looking for premium talent, but we got a mediocre player.
No, we didn't get anybody.
Time.
Right. I'm not surprised he was there when we picked him because the guy can't play.
Yeah,
no,
we
they never
reached.
say that.
Yeah. Big chopper, third base side, and it rolls foul. Draft is coming up, by the way, June 4th. After this weekend, Nick Hostetler and his crew will be making that first selection, among others, number 4 overall for the Sox.
And right now, they're just going through each and every player on their board. They're thinking, and Nick is thinking, along with his staff. They've got 7 guys that they feel might fall to them at the number 4 spot. And they're considering who might be gone at that point, but they have to be ready in case one of those guys does fall to them. Certainly at number 4, you're going to get a good draft pick. And Nick has said that it doesn't really matter. They're going to take the best player available. If it's a pitcher, well, so be it. If they feel he's the best guy left on the board when they pick, and it's a pitcher, they're going to take him. You would think it would be a college player one way or the other.
Smoke to third. Yolmer holds the line. And the cross time and throw on target for out number 2. This summer, and we can say summer now, head to your favorite store and grab some cold Modelo Especial. Perfect to enjoy while watching the White Sox. While there, enter for a chance to win tickets to a White Sox game. No purchase necessary. Ends June 25th. Visit CrownImportsContest.com for rules. Modelo is imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. Two down for Greg Allen. He had the game winner for the Indians in that instant classic a couple of days ago. A 14-inning win over the Astros. It seemed like it might have ignited Cleveland at the wrong time for the Sox. Two, way up high. Well, for Lucas Giolito, he gave up 4 straight hits in the first inning. Got the double play for Melky Cabrera, and it's been ground balls since. In fact, all the outs in this game for him have been ground balls.
I like the fact that he has not yet thrown a walk. That means confidence in his stuff.
Two and two. Don Cooper with some projects to work on this year. Some very young talent in the rotation. Two and two. It's downstairs. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Not the guy you want to put on base because he's sure to try to steal ahead of Lindor, who's in the on-deck circle. Don's got his hands full because young pitchers have to learn the lessons the major leagues have to teach. They want to do it quickly. You don't get experience quickly. And they're going to fall out of rhythm many times before they figure it out.
Likely was going to be ball 4. Allen touched it foul.
He's not a walking guy. Walked 3 times in 55 at bats coming into tonight. And only swiped 1 bag, and that we saw in yesterday's game.
Giolito lets fly on 3-2. In the air, center field. Angle. And a 1-2-3 second inning for Lucas Giolito. The score remains 2-1.
Listen as Chuck Garfien and company break down the biggest topics surrounding the team. You can visit NBCSportsChicago.com/podcast to subscribe today.
Top of the order for the Sox. Moncada, Sanchez, and Abreu. Mike Clevenger with his first pitch. Bounced foul, strike 1. Ricky Renteria is the DJ for this team. Typically on the road, in his office, you walk by and there's music playing at all times. And this being the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you would imagine music would bring people together a little bit more in this city. And while the Sox were in Detroit, Ricky Renteria has his media discussion every day, calls in the writers and has a chat about the upcoming game. And he decided that he was going to play for Darryl Van Schouwen, who's a Bill Withers fan, the song Ain't No Sunshine. So we listened to that for a little while before Ricky made his comments. And notably, Mike Clevenger, the starting pitcher for Cleveland today, walked out to the mound to the tune of Ain't No Sunshine. It wasn't the Bill Withers version, but it was a very nice version. And the reason for that is, as Moncada grounds to second for out number 1, the reason for that is Michael Brantley, during spring training in years past, put the nickname Sunshine on Clevenger for his flowing hair after Ronnie Bass, the character, the quarterback, and Remember the Titans. So Clevenger, named Sunshine, walks out to Ain't No Sunshine today, but he took it terribly far. Some people don't like their nicknames, like you and Lil Stoner. Yeah. Clevenger wore Sunshine on the back of his Players Weekend jersey as well. So he's all in with the Sunshine thing.
Well, if it doesn't work, he'll change it.
It's true. You wouldn't accuse baseball players of being superstitious, would you?
No, just a touch.
That ball's hit well by Yolmer Sanchez, right center field. Melky back at the wall. He can't make the play. Yolmer's on his way to his 6th triple of the year. And he is into third base, sliding with a 1-out 3-base hit.
Melky Cabrera with a great effort in right center field, but he collided with the wall just as the ball hit the glove, and it bounded away. So Yolmer off to the races. He hits this ball very hard. It does stay in the park. And Melky comes across with a big effort, but comes up short. No chance for Allen to get there, and Melky, being left-handed, that was an asset on that play, but he could not control the baseball.
So Yolmer spills Melky and now leads the league in triples.
That's a lot of triples in one season. It also forces the infield in at all 4 positions.
Jose Abreu, first pitch foul.
Infield in, not a comfortable place for Jose, who does hit the ball very hard.
Does have a home run against Clevenger in his career. He's 3 for 9. Jose Abreu has been one of the hottest hitters in Major League Baseball. Yes, he's 0 for 4 in this series, but he has driven in a run in a similar situation to this in yesterday's first inning. High into the sky on the infield. This will not get it done. Alonso the catch, 2 away. A rare miss for Abreu. Runner at third, 1 out.
To the plate now for Chicago, number 18, Daniel Pontius.
Typically in that opportunity, runner at third, 1 out, Abreu gets the job done.
Yeah, that time he popped up a slider, and unfortunately Yolmer's still at third, but Daniel can pick him up.
He takes a fastball high. Daniel a double to right down the first base line in the second inning, eventually scoring the lone Sox run so far.
Kipnis is way back at second base. Normally you'd play back that far against a guy, certainly a dead pull hitter, but also a guy without really good speed, and Daniel runs a little bit better than people think.
Upstairs with some heat, 2-1.
Polka got a little anxious on that one and expanded his strike zone. Looks like Clevenger was content to pitch around him and take his chances with Matt Skoll in just his second game of his big league career.
Well, Perez called for it there again and got it there. 2-2.
2 pitches up and out of the strike zone, and the count evens. And he's likely to go back there again.
In the air left side. Ramirez giving way to Brantley, who makes the catch for out number 3. A little dissonant late in the rally for the Sox in the third. Rick Ocasek and the Cards, among others, going into the Hall of Fame this year.
Taping of Beer Money, presented by Coors Light. Head over to the Whistle in Oak Lawn. Put your sports trivia knowledge to the test for a chance to take home some cash.
You gonna go?
I want to take home Mike Krzyzewski. That's cash.
I don't think that's exactly how the prize works.
That's not how it works?
You just load him in the trunk.
Well,
he's a nice man. You'd want to take him home.
Very nice man. It says you can take home cash. I thought that's what they meant.
Homophones are tough for you, aren't they?
No, gramophones are easier.
Lindor. Toss it away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Thanks for joining us. You can tweet at Steve at Steve Stone.
I'm in the answering mode these days.
You are?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this.
Dashing off tweets and whatnot?
Occasionally.
Maybe we'll get an audio tweet later on. Ball and a strike on Lindor. It's almost hard to believe he's just 24 years old. He's been to 3 Futures games. Feel like we've been hearing about him for a long time, and he's got so much more baseball left to play.
He's just a quality player. Anytime you can get a switch hitter that can field like him and run like him and eventually hit for substantial power, although he hits for a lot of power now, you got yourself a keeper, and the Indians plan to keep him and Ramirez for a long time. Eventually, when Kipnis does leave, whenever that is, Ramirez will move to second, and they're going to be quite a double play combination.
2-2 is very close. Giolito looking for corners and nearby in the last 2.
It won't be quite as good as Vizquel and Alomar, who patrolled the middle infield in the mid-90s for the Indians, but they're going to be real good.
Carlos Baerga just before that. He and Vizquel were pretty good, but not
Carlos
Alomar
was
good.
a hitter more than he was a defender, but a good hitter he was.
3-2, elevated third base side, foul territory. Omar Sanchez is on the case. Join us Friday, June 1st, rock and roll night and fireworks presented by Guaranteed Rate as the Sox host the Milwaukee Brewers, 7:10 p.m. To buy tickets, visit WhiteSox.com. And that day, Danny Farquhar will be on hand to throw out the first pitch. After everything he's been through, he and his wife and kids will be there, and it will be wonderful to see Danny back out on the mound.
And he's hoping to come back and actually pitch in competition next year. That would be even more remarkable than his rapid comeback.
Michael Brantley unloads on a ball to center field. Engel does not have a play. Brantley drives himself in, and it's 3-1.
Indians have 4 guys with 30 or more runs driven in, with Lindor knocking at the door with 29. And our Ford home run replay, it's number 9 for Michael Brantley. When he's entirely healthy, he is a scary dude. This guy hits for average, he can hit for power, and he's got speed. Not to mention he is a clubhouse leader, and he will be a free agent.
The danger of this start for Lucas Giolito after the rough control issue in his last start against Baltimore is he could pitch significantly better in this game, but the lineup for the Indians is so top-notch that the numbers may not show the level of improvement that he could deliver today.
Well, he came in with an idea that he was going to get the ball over the plate. That has been successful in the early going. But this is a very good hitting baseball team, especially at the top. The bottom part of the order is just okay, but the top part, you got to wend your way through. And Lindor, Brantley, Ramirez, Encarnacion, and lately Alonso, that's 5 at the top, and you don't get a breather with any of them.
2-1, softly planted in for strike 2.
There's a look at the man with 13 straight over 500 seasons, Terry Francona, one of the best in the business. He understands this game unbelievably well and has a long line of success.
Anderson circles it. And in one smooth throw, gets rid of Ramirez for out number 2. Terry Francona is a pretty good analyst for the short time he did it as well.
Terry Francona can do a lot of things well. He was a very good hitter. However, his knees gave out before his hitting ability gave out, and then decided that he'd become a manager. And with the Tribe, 559 with those 13 consecutive winning seasons between Boston and Cleveland. He honed his trade at Philadelphia.
Yolmer on a short hop off a dart. Plays it well to eliminate Encarnacion. Brantley's home run, the damage in the third, 3-1. League debut, the last Sox player you asked to homer in his White Sox debut. As we go back into White Sox history, Miguel Olivo, the catcher, September 15th, 2002. He deposits a ball to right field at Yankee Stadium off of Andy Pettit. And Miguel Olivo with his only home run of that year. Pettit only gave up 6 homers all season, and one was to Miguel Olivo.
You can't underestimate Miguel Olivo.
We've always said that.
Do it at your peril. Plus, he was a very strong man. He could get you in a bear hug and crush you.
Is that true?
Yes.
Sounds like it was by experience. 6 White Sox players to homer in their first career game. Russ Moorman in '86. Then a gap between him and Craig Wilson. Carlos Lee, Joe Borchard as well, as this one's popped back of home and caught by Perez for out number 1. That season, Andy Pettit mentioned the 6 home runs he allowed. All year, 22 starts, 6 homers. Half of them were to either then White Sox or future White Sox. Miguel Olivo, Herbert Perry, who was then with Texas, and Juan Uribe in 2002 had one of the 6 home runs against Andy Pettit.
Andy was a pretty good pitcher. In fact, Andy was a good pitcher for a long time without an overwhelming fastball. Very smooth delivery, very good slider. Herbert Perry, huh?
We love Herbert Perry.
Notable White Sox.
Good clutch hitter, as you'd say.
Yeah.
Hey, you love a good clutch hitter.
I do. Didn't know Herbert Perry was one of those, but okay.
Yeah. Everybody's a good clutch hitter. 1-2. Inside a fastball, 2-2.
Clevenger's got a whole lot on his fastball tonight. He zipped him 98, usually up and out of the strike zone. Again, that's his show me pitch. Doesn't throw that one in the zone very much. Uses it as a wipeout pitch. Uchlinski was ready to ring him up, brought the right hand almost in position to make the call, and then thought better of it.
Three and 2. Fouled back. Adam Engel, flied out to right in the second inning, is on deck. And Tim goes down swinging, 2 away. Here's your Sox math question for today. Hashtag Sox math on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize from the road. Matt Skoll hits yesterday, multiplied by the number of bases he accounted for, minus Sox runs in the game, plus homers Tim has this year entering tonight. That's your question. Hashtag Sox math on Twitter. First correct answer wins something out of Steve's traveling case.
I might get him some of that ballpark mustard.
You love that ballpark mustard, and now you have an in.
I do. Taking my stepmother out for brunch today. The man sitting at the booth in front of us was the owner of Ballpark Mustard.
He was Colonel Mustard?
In the parlor, yes. What was the most surprising thing was that he came up and offered one of those mustards.
Is that
a little
him?
better than that. No, not exactly.
I thought we found him.
It's not quite as yellow as that.
Strike 3. See what other cronies of Steve we can find in the crowd. Bottom 4 next, 3-1. Guaranteed rate. Michael Kopech, third straight game with at least 7 strikeouts, 6 innings, 7 punches, 2 earned runs, 3 hits. So his last 3 starts, Steve, 18 innings, 4 earned runs.
He's thrown it very well in getting his secondary pitches over the plate. You know the fastball is good and it's going to be there. And that's what's going to make the determination for him is if he can get the secondary pitches over consistently, he's just one small step away from the major leagues.
So how comfortably can you evaluate secondary pitches in AAA?
Get them over the plate. I mean, you look for obviously the rotation on them, both the curve and the slider if you have both. And then are you throwing them for strikes?
Into center field, Engel on rushing for out number 1. Here's your Sox math winner for today. Turkish Hammer 3 is your victor, I'm told. 2 hits for Skol yesterday, 6 bases. That's 12 minus 6 times the Sox scored. 6 plus 11 home runs for Tim Anderson, 17. Turkish Hammer 3 is your winner. Live from Istanbul and a tool shop there. 1 out for Melky Cabrera. Or strike 1. Your thoughts on Giolito so far?
I like the fact that he's dropping the slow hook over early in the count. And that's really, when you talk about evaluating secondary pitches, you're talking about the ability to throw a couple of different secondary pitches. When you drop the curveball over, the fastball looks that much better, and Melky way late on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. But for Kopech, he's got to be able to, 1, throw a curveball early in the count over the plate, and 2, then throw a wipeout curveball that looks like a strike and bites so much that it goes out of the strike zone, and hitters are just mystified by it.
Are those 2 distinct pitches for you?
Yeah, and basically you've got to do it in your hand to be able to get the same release point and the same arm velocity. You have to move the ball farther back in your hand to throw it with the same look of your fast curveball, but it's not.
Cabrera drive to right field. Polka back at the warning track to make the catch. A long vacation for that ball, but just short of freedom.
Melky hit it hard, but not quite far enough.
Two down for Kipnis.
That's a pretty good pitch, and he's just not getting the inside part of the plate. So to go in there for anything less than push him back off the plate doesn't make a great deal of sense, because Wojciechowski's just not calling it.
Tapper foul. Seems as though the outside corner has been more generous than the inside corner both ways today.
And that's something that Omar Narvaez has got to say, look, we can't get it in there. I'm just not going to throw it in except when I want to push him back. I just won't go in there for a strike.
Well, there's certainly a loss for the Sox in terms of brain power and veteran leadership for Wellington Castillo being out of the lineup. And I say brain power in terms of just the depth of knowledge he has of pitchers in the majors and hitters as well in Major League Baseball. Good news for the Sox in the catching department today is Kevin Smith's off the DL in Charlotte.
Well, you don't like necessarily young pitchers with young catchers. Ideally, if you have young pitchers, you want to have a veteran catcher, and that's what Castillo gave to the Sox. Kevin Smith is one of those older veteran catchers, so we'll see how that plays out.
Slice to left center field. Engel runs it down in the alleyway. Kipnis halts at first. It's a 2-out single, and the first base runner in 5 hitters for Cleveland.
Jason's last really big year was .303 in 2015. They played in 141 games. Then he had a very good 2016 at .275. That was in 156 games. But then the injuries started to plague him. In 17, a right shoulder inflammation, then a right hamstring strain, then another right hamstring strain. So it's been injuries that have really curtailed him, because he's a quality player. Good man to have on a ball club. He's a tough guy. The Indians certainly love him. And he can steal the occasional base, although with the leg problems, not so much now.
You would not imagine he'd be going here.
No, you don't want to lead off with Perez. I mean, even if he's running well, you don't want to lead off with Perez if he gets thrown out.
Time call.
That's what's happened. A little shaky in the first 2, although 19 and 18 are not bad for the first 2 innings, despite the fact he gave up 4 hits in the first inning. But the Indians were swinging early in the count as Lucas was trying to get the ball over. He did successfully get it over, but the Indians just hit it.
91 for a swing and a miss, 1-1.
91 upstairs looking a whole lot better than 91 at the knees or the thigh.
Fastball's averaged right there at 92 so far today for Giolito. That was his 38th fastball of the game. He's thrown 7 curveballs. That's a number that's up from his typical 2018 start.
I like him when he throws the curveball, especially early in the count, because hitter's just not going to swing at it. He usually gets good rotation.
To the corner, a strike, 2-2. Kipnis at first, 2 down, and a 3-1 lead for Cleveland in the 4th. Fifth full count and 17 batters tonight for Giolito. That is just a foul ball. Your 2018 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate, your home team throughout the season and the official mortgage provider of the Chicago White Sox. Get started today right now at rate.com.
Perez has the occasional bit of power. Last year hit 8 home runs in very limited action, caught 73 games.
Called strike 3 at the tip top of the zone. Giolito spins in his first strikeout. We'll go to the 5th. Sox are down a pair in Cleveland.
Baseball team practices like the big leaguers, and Chicago teens get a once-in-a-lifetime experience in Kansas City and the art of the stolen base with Tim Anderson. White Sox All Access tonight after White Sox postgame live on NBC Sports Chicago.
Some of the things that you either saw on our telecast but wanted to see again, or things that happened off the field with the White Sox, including that trip to Kansas City and the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, which I know we both had a great time.
Yeah, that was one of the most interesting times we've had on the road in quite some time, and there was so much to absorb going to that museum that we've got to go back again a couple times.
Yeah, next time we're in Kansas City, I think every time, frankly, we're in Kansas City, we should go. There's so much to gain. The one thing I took among so much else is we're doing uniforms wrong. There are so many beautiful uniforms in the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. You see Larry Doby's number here in Cleveland. The uniforms were brilliant. Great color combinations. You bought a couple of hats, I know.
I did. I got 4 of them and just loved it.
That's a fair ball over the bag. Charlie Tilson has been on twice this evening.
That ball skimmed off the top of the bag. Ramirez did a nice job of just catching the baseball, but he was back at third for some reason. I cannot figure out exactly why. As Tilson has a whole lot of infield hits, here's another one. He cues it over the top of the bag. Ramirez still able to make the catch, but can't do anything with it. So a promising start to the 5th. Good speed on the base paths. And Ramirez, who's got great hands, just could not make the play.
Charlie Tilson with his 4th hit in 11 at bats since coming up from AAA Charlotte. Just got back.
Tim Timmons on the call. The hand got in before the tag. It's a quick move by Clevenger. I know Ricky doesn't like to do it a whole lot, but this is a very good hit and run combination. First of all, you have a catcher who doesn't run well, but a catcher who does make some contact, and a very fast man at first base.
Charlie Tilson, by the way, is going to win the StatCast door prize for today's game. You have to imagine that ball came off his bat at 46.5 miles an hour. Other balls were honking at it in the right lane.
That was really good exit velocity. 46.
Smoked it. You know what? Let's take a look at StatCast from Charlie Tilson.
There it is, and you gotta love the launch angle at 2 degrees.
Forgot the quotes around launch and launch angle. Charlie was leaning, and that throw was a one-hopper.
Nice pick by Alonso at first base. Little housekeeping by Tim Timmons.
One ball, one strike for Omar. Another throw to first. Tilson is back in.
They want to take another look at it. That's why Terry Francona slowed it down, but he says play on.
This could be 2. Lindor the turn. 4 to 6 to 3.
Omar grounds into his 2nd double play of the year, and a very easy 4, 6, and 3 on the back end.
Here's Yohan Moncada. Would have been much tougher of a double play to turn when there were no shortstops in the game back in the old days.
Kipnis might have run to the back, however, and made it close at first.
Could have been close. Ball and a strike on Moncada, who flied out to left in the 1st and grounded to 2nd in the 3rd.
Pretty good 2-seamer from Clevenger as that one will run away from Moncada.
In the zone at 94, 1 and 2.
There's a difference, 5-mile disparity between that 2-seamer and the 4-seamer. One's up, the other's down. One with run, the other stays true.
2-seamer is declining in usage in Major League Baseball.
Well, I think that pitchers use it wrong because they're trying to get some velocity, and they can use a 2-seamer if there's more disparity between the pitches.
77 on the breaking stuff. 4th strikeout for Clevenger. We'll hear from Chuck Garfien after this. We'll see you back at home coming up over the weekend with the Brewers in town, the best team in the National League, visiting Guaranteed Rate Field Friday through Sunday.
They're a team that can really hit the baseball.
Greg Allen to the right field corner, and he has a leadoff 2-base hit. Seventh hit for Cleveland tonight.
Picks on a first pitch. This ball is down, but it has too much of the plate. And Allen starts off the 5th in good shape for the Tribe.
When we went to break, we were talking about why the two-seam fastball is losing steam in Major League Baseball in terms of how much people are using it.
I think one of the reasons is that guys are trying to throw it hard. They're depending on the movement of the ball. If you don't hit your spot, there's not that much disparity between the 2 and the 4-seamer. And the best way to get disparity is to move your fingers further apart instead of in between the 2 seams. As you head into the horseshoe of the baseball, you put it on either side of the 2 seams. It approximates the feeling of a splitter, although you don't split your fingers all that far apart, but you will get 7, sometimes 8 miles an hour disparity between your best fastball and that 2-seamer. You'll get more run, you get more late movement.
Twisted into right field and plunked down. Lindor drives in Allen. It's 4-1 Cleveland.
With that run batted in, the Indians now have 5 guys with 30 or more runs batted in. So if you wonder why the Tribe is at the top of the division, it's because of the top of this batting order. The bullpen has been fair to partly abysmal. Starting rotation has been fairly good in spots, but the hitting at the top has been very consistent.
And in this day and age, when the 3-run home run gives you such a big chance of winning a baseball game, you have the 3rd best slugging team in the majors. They're going to hurt you. There goes Lindor, and he is into second base with a steal.
That was a straight steal for Lindor, and Michael Brantley did not even offer at it. First of all, he saw Lindor with a very good break. And for Giolito, he leads the American League in runners stealing second base. That is a dubious department, one you don't want to lead anything in.
Threads in another strike on Brantley, who's 2 for 2 with a single to right and a center field home run back in the third.
That was the 11th time that Lucas has given up a stolen base to second.
Michael Brantley, you were talking about the hitting streak earlier. It's 18 games, the average at 364 during it.
18 games and 18 runs driven in, so not only is the batting average up, but so is the productivity.
To first base, and a beautiful grab by Abreu to turn 2.
That's some bad base running on the part of Lindor, because if it gets over Abreu's head, you're going to score easily. If it doesn't, and it didn't, you're going to get doubled off, and you're going to stop a potentially big inning. So he decides to take off. Nice play by Jose, and then the easy toss. Double play, 3-6.
2 down, bases empty, and ball 1 to Jose Ramirez, who of late has been one of the toughest outs in Major League Baseball. One of the many switch hitters in this lineup. There are 4 of them. And Ramirez hits this one well to right center field, and a no-doubter. The team leader adds another for Cleveland.
That's 39 driven in. That's his 16th home run. Fourth home run replay. He gets a low fastball. It's on the outer third, and he puts a charge into it. That's the second home run, and it's a 4-run Indian lead.
He came in 3rd in the American League in extra base hits. He has a pair of them tonight. As that is to the corner for a strike. 102 miles an hour off the bat of Ramirez. Off speed down 1 and 2.
Lucas buckled the knees of Encarnacion on the first curveball, and that time mystified him on another curveball.
Went there again and sprayed foul. Another breaking ball fouled away. Let's go back to the home run for Jose Ramirez. Take a look at where this ball was.
Well, Omar wants it inside, and this ball just drifts away. So Lucas on his fastball tonight has been missing his spots, and it's really cost him against a good hitting club.
That time he takes down Encarnacion, but Cleveland gets 2 more. Ramirez with the latest blow, 5-1. Rate Club, while providing your guests with the ultimate all-inclusive White Sox experience. This private club's the best way to entertain your most important clients, employees, friends, or family, and are available for season ticket packages or individual games. Call 312-674-1000 for more info. Well, the weather's getting good. The Sox are on their way back home for 3 Friday, Saturday, Sunday before an extended road trip again to Minneapolis and Boston.
I believe that's 5 games in 4 days against the Twinkies. That's on the Fenway Park.
Weekend series in Boston before the Sox head home, and for the bulk of mid to late June, the Sox will be home. Look forward to seeing you out at the ballpark. And again, Danny Farquhar is scheduled to throw out the first pitch on June the 1st. It's coming Friday.
Perez has got Clevenger in a pretty good rhythm, and he gets him the ball very quickly. We've talked about catchers a lot and how they can help pitchers, but the responsibility being behind the plate, it's probably the most important position on the field for a number of different reasons. Your responsibilities are many. First of all, they ask you to hit like a regular hitter. And to do that, you have to know the opposing pitchers of every team, as every hitter does. So that doesn't change.
Clevenger, a little bunny hop, and he's got out number 1. 1 down for Jose Abreu.
You also have to know each and every one of your pitchers, what they can do and what they can't do. And to do that, you have to catch them in spring training. You have to catch them on their side sessions. You have to understand exactly what they do and how they do it. That's Sandy Alomar, one of the best around during his time. Not only a good hitter, but a great catcher. And also you have to know each and every one of the hitters. So you have to be able physically to play the position and hold up under everything that you do, meaning you're going to take a lot of foul balls off your anatomy, and you're going to have to throw out base runners and do everything that normal catchers do physically. You're going to have to go through a thought process of getting your pitchers on track when they're struggling. You're going to have to know each and every one of the hitters and what they do and what they don't do. So the responsibilities are numerous for catchers. That's why when you get a good one, when you get a guy that fills and checks all the boxes, you keep him around for as long as you possibly can.
Splinters everywhere. This ball is swept up foul. Don't know why Alonso was so intent on touching that ball while it was foul. He had an easy out if he touched it fair.
He tried to get it fair. He was coming to get it. He just couldn't get there in time, as that one hugged the line for a while. In fact, Jose was left with a cricket bat, and Alonso was back, as you would expect, for Abreu, and then went to get it. But you're right, if he'd have let it trickle, maybe the spin would have taken it back into fair territory. But he was trying to get it. Now watch where he is. He looks at it here. Now he's sprinting to get the ball fair, and he couldn't get it. Then figured, why let it go? I'll just grab it.
Well, but the point being, if you let it go,
yeah, there's nothing to lose.
You can't lose anything.
No, because Jose is not. He's not running at that point thinking the ball was foul.
No, he's tending to his wood pile. 1-2. Check swing, no go. 2-2. So you're saying essentially catching is double the work.
Well, and then some, because you have to know just about everything, which is why you would like your catcher and then secondary your shortstop to be the smartest guy on the field. Because a shortstop looks around defensively and tries to move everybody if they're out of position. He's got to know where everybody is, not only in front of him but behind him. Catchers just have a greater responsibility because they got to be a psychologist also. They have to go out there during the course of a game, especially when your pitching coach doesn't want to come out all that often. Your catcher goes out and has to get his pitcher back on the right track when he's struggling, give him confidence when he doesn't have any, and go away from pitches when they're not working. And to do that, it takes the rare guy.
Well, now you can minor in psychology because there are only 6 visits to the mound. You don't have to major in it anymore. There's less time to get out there. 3-2 on Abreu. Fouled back just below our boot to our right. Sox trailing 5-1. The lone run was on a Tim Anderson RBI single, scoring Daniel Palco with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Three and 2 from Clevenger. And Jose swings through it. Strike 3. 2 down.
That was a good slider from Clevenger. He's got very good stuff here tonight. So we'll take a look at the last slider, and it was a good one. It's 5 strikeouts.
2 down for Palco. That was nasty breaking stuff.
He's had just good pitches all night. Giving up 4 hits with 5 strikeouts and just a lone walk.
Sharp curveball.
Very much unlike the last 2 times out. So he's throwing like he did early when Carl Willis, a pitching coach, convinced him to go right at hitters. Stay aggressive, because when he nips at the corners, he falls behind. And usually you get hurt. Jerry Franco, knowing that he had a depleted bullpen, at least coming into this series, is getting what he wants out of Clevenger. He would ideally like to use just 1 or 2 relievers tonight, especially with the quick turnaround tomorrow. And a 14-inning game in the rearview mirror, but it was just a short time ago against Houston.
Indians did announce during this series that they're calling up one of their top prospects, Shane Bieber, from AAA to make a start on Thursday for his major league debut.
He is a strike throwing machine.
Clevenger tonight is 2. 6 strikeouts for Clevenger and a 5-1 lead for him. Bottom 6. Cleveland, bottom of the 6th inning, an early start. 5:10 Central Time, 6:10 local time. And Lucas Giolito on for his 6th inning. He'll face Alonso, Cabrera, and Kipnis, and there's that curveball for a strike.
Nice that he dropped it over, because you got to find some way to get Alonso out. He flew out last time leading off the 4th inning. However, before that, he was on base 5 straight times in this series, and he's pickling fastballs.
Pickling?
Pickling.
Putting them in brine?
Close to it. Hitting him into the ether. He's a pretty strong hitter, and they got him to replace Carlos Santana. And he's giving him a little more than the same stats, although he doesn't walk quite as much.
Lucas, by the way, yesterday, the game also aired on ESPN. It was blacked out in Chicago. Lucas had a chat with Adnan Verk, who's the play-by-play announcer for that game, and Adnan being a movie buff and Lucas's family being very Hollywood. As you see Bummer loosening up. Giolito got asked by Adnan who would play him in a movie. And Lucas kind of mulled it over for a while. Adnan said Jake Gyllenhaal. So my question is not who do you think would play Lucas Giolito in a movie, but who would play Steve Stone in a movie?
Hervé Villachez. He's a short armor.
See any planes? It's downstairs. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I don't know, a movie, huh? Well, I'd have to think about that. Brad Pitt comes to mind,
yeah,
certainly.
Well.
Although I have no idea. I mean, if he would take, what, $80, $90 to do it, might be able to get him.
The old discount roll. 3-2 popped up back toward us and foul. I was thinking maybe William H. Macy.
No, I'd like Leif Schreiber. He would be the guy.
That's your guy?
Yeah.
We need a prominent forehead.
Well, he could have one of those. We'll carve it in, fresh off the Ray Donovan scene.
3-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Alonso cut down by Giolito. 1 away. Download the app, play for free, start your streak, and compete to win $5.6 million. Download Beat the Streak today in the App Store or on MLB.com/BTS.
Good off-speed pitches to Alonso. He completely handcuffed him. I love the fact that Lucas now is using this as a learning experience, getting the off-speed pitches over the plate, because when he was good last year, the last 7, he was throwing some curveballs and straight changes to get guys off his fastball.
Okada tracks this one down nicely for round number 2. And Kipnis coming up. Cleveland scored 2 in the first tonight, 1 in the third, 2 in the fifth. Sox with that lone run in the second. Kipnis 1 for 2 with that single to center last time. That's outside, ball 1. Sox and Indians again tomorrow. It's a 12:10 Chicago time start. Reynaldo Lopez and Corey Kluber dueling on this mound. That should be quite fun.
Well, look, it's our best against their best. He's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, bidding for a 3rd time. Just unbelievable stuff. Great presence on the mound, able to get everything over the plate when he wants to, and a wipeout curveball, the likes of which are not seen in this league too often. Against a young, hard-throwing right-hander who seems to be getting better and better, Ronaldo has got great stuff, and the league is just learning about him, and they will learn a whole lot more as he moves along.
23 straight starts for Corey Kluber, allowing 3 earned runs or fewer.
It's quite a streak.
2-2 from Giolito on Kipnis. Lucas still walk free tonight. 3 strikeouts. Right side of the infield. Abreu for Giolito, and that is a 1-2-3 inning. We'll go to the 7th. 5-1, the Sox trail. once again to crack the safe and open the Sox vault. See who's inside. It's Thad Bosley, 172 games in 3 years after coming over in December of 1977 with Bobby Bonds and Richard Dotson. Thad Bosley. You see the trade, things weren't going well, but everything changed, as the story said. We encourage you to DVR the Sox vault and read the stories from the newspaper on your own time as well.
It was Thad. I told a story early in the season about the young player that came up to me and wanted number 32.
Oh, that was him.
When he was traded to the team. And seeing as I was in at that point, I believe I was in my 7th or 8th year in the major leagues, I suggested he spend 10 minutes in the league and maybe we could talk. He went on to become a pretty good player as Rajay Davis takes over in center field, shifting Allen into right, and Melky departs.
14 big league seasons for Thad Bosley.
Yeah, he was a nice player.
Played on both sides of town, played for Kansas City and Texas, the California Angels for 2 years. You mentioned the defensive change for the Indians. When do you think is the appropriate time for a manager to start thinking about a defensive replacement?
I believe when you have the lead going 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, you have the lead and you have a guy that doesn't have great speed, and Melky doesn't any longer. You want to protect that lead, you make the change. And also with Rajay Davis, I mean, you're getting a guy that can steal a base for you, get the occasional hit. So it's not like putting in a straight defensive replacement. It's a guy that can help you offensively. Is Tyler Olson loosening in the pen in case Clevenger has any problems, and he hasn't had too many tonight.
Skoll takes ball 4. It's a leadoff walk for the Sox here in the 7th, and Tim Anderson, who's had a magnificent road swing with a multi-homer game in Detroit, a home run yesterday, knocking the ball out of the park with great alacrity.
And he's doing it often. Taking advantage of all fields.
If I could have wagered money that was coming, I would have won quite a bit. Here's Tim. He takes ball number 1. In the air to right field, and Allen for out number 1. Tim Anderson mentioned it was his wife's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Bria. And Tim has another member of the family enjoying this Cleveland sun with Teddy B. Hashtag literally my dog for show, says Tim on Instagram. Tim was lobbying for more Instagram followers before the game in the clubhouse. Said he wants to get to 50,000 before the season's over. He's at 32,000 right now. So if you have Instagram, go follow Tim Anderson. That's your public service announcement for this 7th inning.
Handsome dog.
Teddy.
What kind of dog is it?
It's Tim's dog.
It's like a Labradoodle. Hypoallergenic, by the way.
Once again, time for Steve Stone's Canine Corner. We don't have the graphics package ready for that yet, but it's coming. 0-2 for Engel with Skoll at first.
At 106 pitches, you wouldn't think that Terry Francona would be terribly patient with Clevenger, but he's throwing so very well. I think probably starting with the Tilson at bat, you'll probably see Olson, or you would think you'd see him anyway.
Yeah, Charlie's not faced a lefty yet in this brief stint in the majors, and Olson being one of 2 lefties now in that bullpen with Jeff Beliveau coming up from AAA.
Yeah, I think you're going to see him after the Adam Engel at bat.
Swinging, 2 down. And your prophecy was correct.
Here comes Terry Francona, who went a long way with Clevenger. But Clevenger certainly threw the ball well enough to stay in, and Olson does come in. He's going to get a nice hand from the crowd. And as he walks out, we'll step out. Be back after these messages. And Tyler Olson is the man coming in, which means that Trace Thompson is going to face him. Now for the 23rd time, so he's been a busy man, but his ERA above 6.25. He's 0-1. You look at the rest of the numbers: 20 strikeouts and 14 in the third. Not bad. Situational left-hander. And that's why Ricky Renteria goes to Trace, who's still celebrating last night. His brother Clay and his mates at Golden State dispatched Houston in a wonderful game.
Doubt that Trace is going to get a warm welcome here in Cleveland, considering his brother will be the opponent.
He will be that.
So 6 2/3 for Clevenger. 4 hits. Really nice start for Mike Clevenger tonight. 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. And his night is over. One ball, one strike. Trace takes ball 2. Omar scheduled next. Sox with Jose Rondon and Alfredo Gonzalez left on the bench. Two and two. Skoll at first after a leadoff walk. And the dirt, and nicely smothered by Perez.
Olson was a waiver claim from Kansas City, and last year he was a revelation with the Tribe. 30 games, a 1-0 record, no earned run average. That's in 20 innings. Just remarkable for a guy who plucked off waivers. Kansas City got him off waivers from the Yankees.
Who's been traded for money.
Non-money?
Cash. I was going to say cash, but that leads to Mike Kashersky. Strike 3. Skoll stranded at first. A major sports hub in summer. Cleveland, Quicken Loans Arena, right next to Progressive Field. The Indians up 5-1 today.
his ERA and even 3. There you look at the rest of the numbers with left-handers hitting just a touch better than right-handers. Trace Thompson, who came out as a pinch hitter, stays in the game in left field.
Sox down 5-1 in the home 7th. You heard Chuck mention earlier that both Dylan Cease and Carlos Rodon are on the mound tonight in the minors. Carlos making now his 3rd rehab start after getting smoked with a line drive in his last one, and thankfully he was okay and able to make his next start because he's pitched well so far tonight at 3 1/3 of scoreless and hitless baseball.
There was no doubt after his first start that his arm was feeling pretty good. You wondered how he would bounce back. And bouncing back, taking one off his coconut is not the recommended thing, but he had some staples put in. He's come back relatively quickly. Wanted to stay in the game that night, but it's a nice sign that he appears to be just about ready to go.
He's nuts for wanting to stay in the game that night. Into center field. Leadoff single for Perez. So Greg Allen, who's moved over to right field with the entry of Rajay Davis into the game.
Allen can bunt. With that in mind, Yomer's in at 3rd, but if he does bunt, it's going to be a push bunt to the right side. Doesn't look like Terry Francona, who loves the 3-0 offense, is going to make Allen bunt.
Well, this doesn't,
up 4 runs.
Yeah, this doesn't strike you as get him over, get him in team either, considering their slugging potential. To right field and a base hit. Gets there quickly to Palka, so Allen to first, Perez to second, and Lindor to bat.
That sinker was up. Anything thigh high for a sinker baller is not good because they turn into line drives instead of ground balls. The best part of this situation, if there is a good part, is that you got a base clogger at second base with the speed burner at first.
Two on, nobody out, Lindor.
Lindor's been a much better hitter from the right side this year than the left side. 130 points better.
382 against left-handed pitching.
He's from Puerto Rico, and a lot like Javier Baez, his folks sent him to Florida very early when he was 12 years old, and he just learned every aspect of the game. He came up as a well-schooled baseball player, not a guy who had to learn how to play the game in the major leagues.
He and his dad used to play a game where his dad would just walking around town or wherever they were, he'd present him a baseball situation and expect little Francisco to say, okay, here's what I would do in that situation.
He learned well, and he's putting it into practice at the highest level.
Right side, hard hit enough to get through. Perez, the stop sign at 3rd, though he wanted to chug home. Mike Sarbaugh held him up, and the bases are loaded.
This is the second time in the series that Lindor has taken the ball to right field and beat the shift. This wasn't as much of a shift as they usually do on him right-handed, but still 2 times through the right side, and perhaps if he does that enough, not only the Sox but just about everybody's going to stop over-shifting on him as a right-hand hitter. And with the bases loaded, Michael Brantley has been something special. Of course, this year he's been something special in every department.
He's got the longest hitting streak this year in Major League Baseball right now, tied with Wilson Ramos. Ramos is over, so the longest active streak goes to Brantley at 18 consecutive with a hit, including tonight.
Bruce Rundell throwing in the pen.
Perez at third, Allen at second, Lindor at first. To left field. Gets a run home. Bases still loaded. Brantley's got 3 hits tonight.
Allen did a good job that time because as soon as that line drive was hit, he hesitated. He wanted to see if it was caught or not wanting to get doubled up. So he took a step back to the bag, and it's 4 straight singles against Aaron Bummer. The sinker is not sinking, and the Indians taking advantage of it with some line drives and some hard hit ground balls. Don Cooper comes out.
It's been quite some time since we've seen an outing like this for Aaron Bummer. He's had a very nice season to this point with an ERA of 3. In fact, it's the first earned run he's allowed since May the 4th.
He's had a good run. The sinker has been working, but not so this evening.
7 earned runs all year, and just 1 game where he's let up more than 1 earned run. That was in Oakland on April the 18th. Jose Ramirez looks at strike 1.
So Ramirez turns around to hit from the right side, where he's been just a touch better, but he doesn't have near the power he does as a left-hand hitter. Got 16 home runs, 13 of them coming as a lefty.
And Bummer steps off. One. Back to the 5th when Ramirez destructed a baseball.
1 of 2 that Lucas gave up. 102.2 miles an hour, a line drive at 25-degree launch angle. But he carried it 420 feet, so the little guy's got some pop.
Bummer rifles in strike 2. (6-1) Cleveland in the 7th.
Nice crowd here tonight on a very pleasant night at the ballpark. Everything very pleasant, but the score to this point.
Two. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Bummer fans Ramirez 1 away.
Well, the question is, and the question's answered, Ricky's going to come out to get Aaron Bummer, and he's not going to let him face Encarnacion. So Bruce Rondon's going to come in the ball game with no margin for error. The bases loaded, only 1 out. And as Bruce lumbers in, we'll lumber out. Be back after these messages.
White Sox Indy X1 voice remote and get live team stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1.
Time now for the Lakeside Bank call to the pen. Lakeside Bank, it's about time, and it's about time that Bruce Rondon throw a double play ground ball off the bat of Encarnacion on for the 17th time. He's 2-3. His ERA just under 5. 22 strikeouts in 16 1/3. And Omar is going to have to be on his toes because Bruce has been throwing that wipeout slider in the dirt.
Encarnacion, who the Sox brought in Volstad for yesterday in the 5th inning. It's Rondon today to make sure the righty-righty matchup is there. And Encarnacion looked shocked by that 97 near his fists.
Outfield very deep all the way around, shading him maybe 2 steps to left center. If there is any gap, it's a small gap in right center. Good speed on the bases for the Indians.
One. Fouled away 1-2. Again, the Indians bullpen has an ERA over 6 this year. So if you're looking at 6-1 and saying, well, it's over, it's not.
It's a good time to throw that wipeout slider and try to get the second out in what looked like it was going to be a blowout inning. And there it is. Good pitch, and retired a very tough hitter. So now 1 out away, but you got to get by on Alonso. And we'll watch it again. This one explodes at the tail end, and Encarnacion goes down rather easily. .58 strikeouts for him this year.
2 down, Yonder Alonso. He goes after the first pitch, and the onrushing infield makes the play. Abreu the catch, bases loaded, nobody out. The Indians get only 1 run. With some news and notes for you, including the son of Pudge Rodriguez up to the majors, and Johnny Venters gets his first save in 7 years after 3 Tommy John surgeries. And good news for the Braves as well, at least in the severity of the injury so far for Ronald Acuna Jr.
It looked gruesome, and so to come away with just a sprain is a good thing.
He was running through first base, if you haven't seen it, and took an ugly spill.
Yeah. Fortunately young enough to be able to heal quickly enough to come back, because that is one talented youngster.
If that's you, how long does it take for you to heal?
Probably my 75th birthday, which is in 4 years. But I'd come back with everything I had before, which is very little.
2 balls and a strike on Narvaez. I am fascinated by the fact that the humidity affects your elbow because of your pitching days.
It does, always has. Yeah.
Huh.
Which means that if they need a couple innings in relief, I am not available.
Care to explain how that works?
I have no idea.
Okay, then you don't.
Nope. It just does.
You think it's a curveball zone?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, just pitching in general, wear and tear over the years. A lot of innings, a lot of pitches.
What's your blue book value?
Ooh, going down by the day.
3-2
It's
on Omar.
It's $6 for parts, and that's about it.
I'm not going to sell you off to that old Cash for Clunkers program. Tried to wrap it around and missed. Ball 4. Omar, a leadoff walk here in the 8th. Hey, head to the ballpark. It's Dollar Hot Dog Wednesdays. Take advantage of this unbeatable deal. Coming up Wednesday, June 13th. It's the Sox and these Indians at 7:10 p.m. Brought to you by Securian Financial, who can help you make every moment count. Find out more at Securian.com. For tickets, WhiteSox.com/DollarDogs today. That's a condiment selfie.
Yeah. Sox fan, Indian fan, getting along harmoniously. And a big shout out to a huge White Sox fan, Mark Moss, looking on to Detroit, born and raised in Cleveland. His nephew, Robbie Helfgott, also at the game tonight. He stayed an Indians fan, but Mark Moss has moved to the Sox side of the equation.
Good man.
Thought-provoking.
Ball and a strike on Moncada. And Yohan takes low, 2-1. Got to have base runners first and foremost here, down 5.
And a good job of getting out of last inning with just the 1 run. It could have been disastrous. Bruce Rondon came in and slammed the door without the ball leaving the infield. And here comes Terry Francona. And apparently they don't like the way Olson's throwing the ball. Anytime the trainer joins the manager out to the mound, you have to worry about it. And with only 2 left-handers in the bullpen, they certainly are worried about Olson at this point.
Dan Otero, who just threw 2 innings on Sunday, loosening up and waiting for the phone call.
Well, if Olson does leave, Otero's going to have as much time as he wants, but he was loosening up between innings anyway, so it shouldn't take too long.
Looks like Olson's going to stay. By the way, Carlos Rodon is into the 5th inning in his rehab start, so 4 2/3. He's allowed only 1 hit.
He threw it very well first time out, was throwing it well till he got hit in the head the second time out. And it's nice to see coming back, throwing the ball exceptionally well this time out.
On the ground, Lindor picks it and scoops it, and no catch. Everybody's safe.
That's got to be a base hit, you would expect. And that is indeed a base hit. Good effort by Lindor as he ranged to his left up the middle, tried the backhand flip, and it got away from Kipnis. This is a big effort.
And now that's going to do it for Olson. Or maybe not. Carl Willis comes out.
I think Jason Kipnis, if he had that to do over again, would have gone to second base acting like a first baseman and stretched toward the throw. Instead, he was still thinking about 2. There was really no chance to get 2 on this play. So let's take a look at Kipnis. See where he is. If he'd have been to the back of the bag and stretched out like a first baseman to give him some versatility to one side or the other, he might have been able to get the force out. But where he is, he still wants to be in a position to get 2 There's really no chance to do that on the play. So it's one of those things that you don't practice, you don't think about all that much, but in this case it might have cost a base.
In the situation too, when you're up 5, you want the out. As there's a strike to Sanchez, who tripled in the 3rd, his major league leading 6th triple of the year. That breaks just outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Otero and Beliveau in the bullpen now for Cleveland. Abreu coming next. Two balls and a strike on Sanchez.
Gomer has become a tough out from both sides of the plate. Although right-handed, at least to this point, he's hitting the ball hard, doesn't have a whole lot to show for it.
2 balls and 2 strikes. You have to imagine that Otero is out there for Abreu, who's just 2 for 14 career against Dan Otero.
Well, there's no doubt that this is the last hitter for Olsen regardless of those numbers, although holding Jose down like that is something not many pitchers can claim.
On the ground, Lindor feeds Kipnis, who turns it, and that's a double play. Sanchez rolls over. Narvaez to 3rd.
So we'll take a look at an easy 6-4-3, and that's going to be the last pitch that Olsen is going to throw. Terry Francona coming out, and Dan Otero is the man. So as he walks in, we'll step out. Wrap up the series in Cleveland. Coverage beginning at 11:30 with White Sox pregame live. And if you're stuck at work, you can stream the game on the NBC Sports app. Lakeside Bank called to the pen is Dan Otero. He inherits Narvaez at 3rd base, 2 outs, on for the 19th time. His ERA just under 6.5. Good portion of that bullpen has inflated ERAs, which figure to come down as we move along. Allen on the back end has been very successful, but Andrew Miller, their setup man and do everything left-handed pitcher, is on the disabled list with a bad knee.
Well, Terry Francona's done a nice job in the first 2 games of this series managing the bullpen and putting guys in situations that have favorable matchups for them. He snuck Marshall in for an inning and a 3rd yesterday against the bottom of the order for the Sox. Marshall got a double play, and then he gets Olsen in back-to-back games, and he comes up with a bunch of strikeouts. Lindor at shortstop slings it over, and the inning comes to an end. Sox got a walk and a hit, but no runs. Bottom 8 next. As Cleveland leads 6-1, and the Sox dip deeper into the bullpen.
Chris Beck comes into the game out for the 12th time. You look at the numbers. Last time out was not a great effort for him, but a couple of appearances ago he threw it very well against the Pirates in Pittsburgh. His job pretty simple. Hold him right there. A 5-run deficit. You can ill afford for it to get any more than that. Indians fans abounding. Big crowd here tonight. They announced 30,000+, but they factored in a game rained out on April 15th. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it seems to work for them.
Sure. Rain checks or something.
You would think so.
Or just random decisions. Let's throw that rain out in late May.
Rajay Davis with his first at bat of the night.
And he lifts the ball to center field. Angles underneath, one away. We'll bring you more White Sox baseball tomorrow. Noon start time in Chicago. Reynaldo Lopez and Corey Kluber tangling on the mound. That'll be fun.
That's a great pitching matchup. I'm looking forward to see both of them. Reynaldo's thrown it real well, and Kluber always throws it well. One of the best pitchers in baseball. And he's bidding for that 3rd Cy Young Award. There is the matchup. ERA of 2.17 for Kluber. Winner of 7 games. What a pitcher.
One 1-0 on Kipnis, and grounded foul. One and one for Kipnis. And 2 balls and a strike. Sox in the 9th will have Polka, Skoll, and Anderson coming up. foul at first.
That fan dejected. Thought he had the play. He didn't have it. Tragedy strikes down the line, but he's able to come away with a souvenir. Sandy Alomar making a friend.
Tony Bennett.
Sure.
That ball's hit well right center field. Angle back at the warning track, and it's gone. Kipnis goes deep.
Jason Kipnis was starting to swing the bat. We were told that when we came in. He's got that batting average knocking at the door at 200 now with his 2 hits tonight. That is 3rd home run, 22nd driven in. And if Kipnis can provide some thunder at the bottom part of this lineup, this Indians lineup gets a whole lot deeper. This time it's a slider that didn't slide. Our 4th home run replay. It's a towering fly ball, and the park will not hold it in that area.
3 solo home runs tonight for Cleveland.
There were 7 left-hand hitters in this lineup to face Lucas Giolito. And Giolito, who gave up 5 runs on 9 hits. Still, we'll look back to this outing. He learned a couple of things. Number 1, he can get the ball over the plate. And number 2, if he throws first ball curves or soft sliders, he can get ahead early in the count.
Well, you look at the 5 earned runs, and it'll be difficult to convince some people of this just because of the earned run total, but it's a much improved start for Giolito from last time.
I think he's going to learn some very valuable lessons. I think he convinced himself that he can get the ball over the plate. And what happened tonight will happen to guys trying to throw strikes and harness their control. He was throwing a lot of strikes, but he was wild in the strike zone. And that sometimes is more dangerous than just being plain wild, because we've seen him win giving up 6 or 7 walks. But wild in the strike zone means you're going to get a lot of hard hit balls, and a lot of them will find holes, as they did tonight.
Singed to right field and down at the warning track. It's a 1-out double for Cleveland's catcher Perez.
For whatever reason, he came in hitting 125, but he's always swung the bat pretty well against our Sox. His last double coming last year on September 4th. So it's a long time between 2 base hits, and this is a fastball away. 1 hop the wall. No chance for Daniel. He makes it closer at second base with that bare hand and throw in the same motion.
Greg Allen. Cleveland entered play tonight up 3.5 on Detroit and Minnesota in the division. Tigers are down 5-1 in the 5th to the Angels. Minnesota and Kansas City just underway from Kauffman Stadium. On the ground, a shortstop. Tim goes to first, and Allen's out. Perez to third, 2 away. Still a little bit of daylight left with this early start time, 6:10 Eastern at Progressive Field, and Lindor with his 5th at bat of this evening.
That is the Terminal Tower and a beautiful postcard look of the sunset in Cleveland, Ohio.
Back to Lindor for strike one. Sox in the 9th. Polka, Skoll, and Anderson on the way up. Jason Kipnis a home run this inning. He adds to the Cleveland lead to 7-1. Two balls and a strike on Francisco Lindor with Perez at third. Lindor, who made that trip to Puerto Rico with Cleveland, and such an important trip for him, born in Puerto Rico, and was kind of dragged all over the place from charitable event to charitable event, and still had an impact on that series, not only on the field, but with so many young people on that island. Two. Broken bat parachute to shortstop, and that'll do it for Cleveland in the 8th. The Indians add 1. Sox have some climbing to do, trailing 7-1 to the 9th.
Light true moment, or light hold true moment, or one of those, and it's the night of the Clevenger. Well, he was very good tonight. Mike Clevenger, 6 2/3 with a run on 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, just 2 walks. Brilliant performance He gave way to Olsen and Otero. But all things considered, he worked very, very well. Jeff Beliveau comes in the ball game on for the 15th time at Columbus. He has a couple of appearances here. And you looked at the numbers in AAA. So he's back and giving him yet another left-hander. And left-handers don't do much with him.
He's on his 4th major league team: Cubs, Rays, Blue Jays, and Cleveland.
Proof positive that if you throw with your left hand and can get the ball over the plate, you will continually find work.
Ball and a strike on Polka. I once did a couple games on radio with a former major league pitcher who was a left-hander who had just recently retired, and I said something similar to the phrase you just said about being left-handed and always having work, and he wasn't terribly pleased, surprisingly enough.
Well, apparently he ran out of ability to get it over the plate, or lost his health, because
no, he was healthy.
Normally you can definitely find a job. Especially when you take a look around the configuration of bullpens, you'll see a lot of times 6 righties, a couple of lefties, 7 righties, 1 lefty.
Jamie Moyer pitched, and I know he wasn't a reliever, but he pitched until what?
46.
46.
I think so.
Yeah.
Remarkable career with a guy that couldn't break a pane of glass with his fastball, and that was how he was from the beginning. Usually you see guys who fall into that crafty range that they had a big fastball, they lost it due to injury or just wear and tear. Jamie never had a big fastball and still pitched seemingly forever and was a quality starter wherever he went. McAllister throwing in the pen. He's a hard throwing right-hander out of Peoria, Illinois. That's Zach McAllister. Did a banquet, saw the McAllister family, and they're all as big or bigger than Zach.
Is that true?
Yes, it's a large family.
Two and two to Polka. Sox scored their only run in the 2nd inning. Polka led it off with a double. Anderson drove him in. 2 batters later, Tim did steal a base on that trip to first. He stole 2nd for the Sox 47th steal of the year. That looked like a good pitch, and he didn't get it. 3-2. Jose Rondon has grabbed a weapon to pinch hit for Skoll. 3-2 from Beliveau. Polka hits it high and deep to center field. Davis back at the warning track, and Polka sends it into the shrubbery. Solo home run, Daniel Polka at 7-2.
And that was a blast. Anytime you can take it over those small trees and take it back to the big trees, that's in big boy territory. His 5th home run. He's driven in 17 on his 2nd hit of the night, both extra base hits, and Terry Francona is going to take Beliveau from the game. A 4th home run replay. This is a blast. You get every bit of that fastball, and Davis gave it the courtesy leap, but unless he was rubber man, he had no chance to get this one. That is way back there.
Not exactly the way to ingratiate yourself to your team after coming up from AAA. Beliveau gives up a tater and then leaves. To the bullpen the Indians go after this. levels of guaranteed rate field. The space features batting and pitching cages, base running areas, and skill instruction from Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches. While you're there, check out the latest Xfinity technology, including the X1 platform.
Our Lakeside bank call to the pen is Zach McAllister, and McAllister comes into this one to try to stem the tide. It is a 5-run lead, however. Nobody out here in the 9th inning, out for the 22nd time. He's got another one of those high ERAs, normally much better than that. He's got a pretty big fastball, but left-handers have torched him this year. He has allowed 5 home runs.
8 years, career 4 ERA, and he'll face Jose Rondon for strike 1. Rondon in for Skoll, who walked in the 7th, grounded out and popped out foul. Oh, and 2.
That home run was supposedly 411 feet. To show you that it's not an exact science at measuring how far it went. It's 400 feet to straightaway center field. That ball went over the first set of trees, over the black area, and into the second set of trees. And that apparently is 11 feet.
Line to first. Alonso steals maybe extra bases from Rondon. Get out your tape measure.
Well, again, you take a look at it. 107.8 miles per hour exit velocity, 33 degrees launch angle, and into the back trees. You're supposed to assume that it's 11 feet from the fence to the back trees, and I really doubt that.
It's elevated too. I mean,
I'd like to buy some lumber from him if that was 11 feet.
well, the guy in the forest there or what?
Yeah.
Well, you know, sometimes when you're installing a satellite dish, right, you point it the wrong direction into the trees, it scrambles the signal. So, you know, maybe StatCast, when you go into the trees, it gets fouled up by one of the Knights who say knee or something like that.
Ooh, good explanation. I like that.
2 strikes on Anderson from McAllister. Thank you for the heartfelt thought.
Good movie, though.
Yeah, high on the list. 0-2. And touched foul by Anderson. Still 0-2. McAllister to the Sox shortstop. Called strike 3 at the edge. Tim disagrees. 2 down. Bases empty, 2 away. Indians need 1 out, and here are the probables for tomorrow. Reynaldo Lopez and Corey Kluber sub-3 ERAs. One of the bright young talents for the Sox. One of the best pitchers in baseball. The matchup. Adam Engel. Drum pounding as ball 2 comes in.
That's one of the charming aspects of the ballpark. That's one of the carryovers from the old ballpark. Back at Cleveland Municipal Stadium. 86,000 people never showed up. But they did for football and opening day every year.
Nothing if not consistent. 3-0 for Engel. Ball 4, McAllister misses on 4 straight to Adam. And with 2 out, Sox still do have life. Trace Thompson coming up.
Number 32, Trace Thompson.
Consistent scoring tonight for Cleveland. 2 in the first, 1 in the third, 2 more in the fifth, and Singleton's in the 7th and the 8th. There goes Adam. And there's ball 1. It's indifference that gets Engel to second base. Might as well stay out of the force.
They're going to give it to you. Might as well take it.
Called strike. Don't need to be a detective to figure out what the plan is here for McAllister.
At this point with a 5-run lead, just throw strikes.
Preferably high strikes.
And fastball strikes.
Or down and out, 2-1. Trace Thompson, Zach McAllister. Angle at second, 2 down. Two balls, 2 strikes. Cleveland rises. 2-2. Trace into right field. Allen on the move toward the line, and that ball lands fair to drive in a run. Trace Thompson plates Engel at 7-3.
He just reached out, dropped it just inside the line. Allen couldn't get to it. And the boys have put 2 on the board. This fastball away. And Allen with very good speed could not get there.
To the 9-hitter Narvaez with Moncada and Sanchez to follow.
5th run batted in for Trace Thompson.
There he goes. McAllister fishes out strike 1. Command issues for Zach McAllister.
NCRA above 6.
Upstairs, 2 balls and a strike. Moncada to follow. Omar will wait him out.
One of the things Omar does not do is swing at pitches out of the zone very often. Got one of the best eyes on the ball club. And he will take his walks if presented to him.
11 walks this year, 20 strikeouts. That number is up from previous seasons. His eye, as you said, has always been maybe his biggest asset at the plate. 2-1. Shanked foul.
Boy, the boys in the dugout got down very quickly and they were fortunate because that was sliced just over where it says Progressive and just under the roof of the dugout.
Sox have made him work. 2-2. Thompson at second. Laced foul again. Two balls, two strikes. Breaking ball fouled off.
Now the closer, and there is no doubt that Terry Francona does not want to bring Allen in the ball game. Wants to save him for the quick turnaround tomorrow. But if the control keeps eluding McAllister, he might not have any choice.
Two balls, two strikes. Pitch number 7. Omar up the middle, softly hit Lindor. And that is out number 27 for Cleveland. The Indians win game 2, 7-3.
Unfortunately, too much of the top of the order tonight for the Indians as they got the job done. Lindor, Brantley, and Ramirez were all everything at the top, and the Sox fell down, did not give up late in the ball game, but Cleveland won it, and they've won the first 2 of the series. And now the Sox relegated to try to get one of the series against one of baseball's best, Corey Kluber. We'll see you. Quick turnaround tomorrow.
Sounds good. 12 o'clock start time, Chicago time tomorrow. Sox and Indians in game 3. For our producer, Keon Dolachah, our director, Jim Angio, associate producer, Dave Ross, tech manager, Mark Harper, and the executive producer, Greg Bowman, plus our entire wonderful crew here in Cleveland. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. So long from Cleveland. Coming up next, Subaru White Sox postgame live. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago. Good night.